We're live. Jamie, welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Greg. It's great to be on the podcast and be on the show.
Yeah, thank you. I thought we might start with your book. Your book is called No White Flag.
Yeah,
Can you tell us why it's got that title?
yeah. So funny enough, the book is I brought out an autobiography because I thought I was going to retire in like 2008, but I ended up playing another 7 years. But it's called No White Flag because I just had a reputation as a player of like not quitting, and I pushed things as hard as I could, and my career wasn't it wasn't built on natural talent. It was built more on mindset and like application and just trying to push myself as hard as I could. And I always believed, that I could push myself and would never show a white flag no matter how tough or physical the game got. So it kind of come from that background of doing that.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that, funny enough. I've heard you say before, like, how you didn't have natural talent for the sport necessarily. And, like, I think even at age 16, like, clubs weren't particularly interested in you. Do you feel like there's anything that changed between, like, the age of 16 and, as you got older that really changed things for you? Or was it, like, the hard work, the consistency?
Yeah, I mean,
Was there a change in mindset over that time or anything like that?
I reckon. I think as you mature, I always had a mindset to push myself. I remember as a kid, I'd always train hard, but I think as you become more self-aware, as you progress through 16, 17, 18, you try, certainly for me anyway, I began to try and work out what the things I can do well that are going to get me in front of where other people are at. And I think signing professional at nearly 19, I understood that, look, I have more natural rugby talent than the person on the street, but in this group I've not. So there's got to be other ways where I can get an head or in front of other people. And obviously, rugby league's a tough sport, but it's based on mental toughness and physical endurance. So I thought I can excel in these. I might not as good at hand-eye coordination or really high rugby IQ as other players, but these are decisions that you make day to day and session to session and run to run. So I thought these are areas where I can really start to improve and get gains on other people. And I was in an environment as well that had players who were like that. There were five, six senior players who maybe were not the most skillful players, but they had a really strong work ethic, and you kind of learn through them. You can see, I'm more like this player. Works hard than the player who's got lots of talent, so I'm going to work more like him. And I realised that you might have more talent than me, but I'll weigh you down. You might have more talent, but when we've got 10 minutes left in the game, I'm going to be physically fitter, which means I'll think with more clarity, which means I'll actually be more talented than you because you've let fatigue get the better of you. And I think it was just a long-winded answer to what you said there. It's becoming more self-aware and trying to work out, what's the best strategy for me to succeed as a player, first of all at an amateur level, but then when I got in the pro environment, how do I succeed in this environment?
Yeah, yeah. I come from more of a like football background. I've heard, I think it was like Sam Allardyce used to talk about that with his teams. Like we can't be the most skillful, but we can be the fittest. We can work the hardest. Like our set pieces can be so well drilled that it's better than some of the teams that can spend more money. And I think that probably can be applied to any sport, even like HYROX. You might not be naturally the fittest, but like how you pace it, like your technique, or how you approach everything. They're things that you can control whatever level you're at, really.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Yeah, and it's just working out where the bits you can really control and being as good as you can be at being those, and push yourself as hard as you can. And yeah, I mean, HYROX is the good thing about HYROX is really accessible, but having done a race now, there is strategy in there, isn't there? There's a lot of like nuance in how you kind of do things and how mentally you approach things. It's not just go balls out and let's see what happens. That doesn't work for anyone,
Yeah. Can you tell us about your time to get off the bus mantra, please?
Yeah, all right, yeah. So good, just story around self-belief that I obviously now I know that to succeed in life when we feel a bit of nerves and feel a bit of self-doubt, that's a good thing, right? Because we're in a good situation. And we're in a situation where whatever's making us feel nervous or doubtful, if we can push through it. That's where our greatest accomplishments come from, right? You know, take it back to HYROX. I think there were thousands of people in there felt really nervous, but come the other end of it, you know, an hour and a half later, it's one of the greatest experiences I've ever had. And that's what life's about. But when I was younger, I got offered a trial at the Bradford Bulls when I was nearly 19 years of age. And I was really nervous about doing it, didn't have much self-confidence, to the point, you know, I caught the bus from where I lived in Leeds up to Bradford, and on the bus journey, got more and more nervous. Got to my bus stop and I bottled it. I stayed on the bus. Now I stayed on the bus till it frigging terminated. In Halifax, I had to get off the bus at this point. So I've got off this bus and thinking, you know, I've blown my big opportunity here to you know, sign professionally. So anyway, you know, I thought, what do? I ring my dad. Spoke to my dad, you know, he was a bit pissed with me, you know. I'll be straight, taught me some new swear words, Greg, when he spoke to me that day. But he said, you know, come on and we'll have a chat. And on the way home, I thought to myself, do you know what? I've got a lot of people around me believe me, but the one person who has to believe in themselves is me. So I came up with a mantra, time to get off the bus, because I thought, if I get another chance, I've got to get off this bus. Got home, spoke to my dad. Dad said, you give me one more chance, which meant then all week, I told myself, time to get off the bus, time to get off the bus. You're good enough to go train with the Bradford Bulls. Following week, jump on a bus, keep telling myself this mantra, get to my bus stop, and I go train with the first team, do the trial period. It was really tough and intense, Greg. You know, it's elite sport, but it was nowhere near as bad as I thought it was going to be. And we all know that's what happens when we confront our biggest fears, right? Mm-hmm. And I learned a lesson that day that self-doubt is normal. Negative talk can be managed, and you just need to believe in yourself. So then, throughout my time in sport, in rugby league, I use that message every time you up a level, because every time you up a level, you're going to get a bit of self-doubt with it. And, you know, the best example I can give it was when I first got picked to play against Australia. So if you're listening and you don't know rugby league, Australia have been the world's best team for the last 60 years. You know, they are the world benchmark. You know, better than the All Blacks in South Africa put together if you follow the other one. But so my first game for Great Britain was against the Australians. And I was nervous all week, but told myself, time to get off the bus, time to get off the bus. You're good enough to be there. And I scored a try in under 2 minutes in the game. Got into the game and we beat the Aussies that day against all the odds. So it shows you how I use that lesson throughout my career. And it's one that anybody can kind of use, that you got to get off the bus in life if you want to achieve anything.
Yeah, love it, love it. Funnily enough, like, to take it back to HYROX again, you see like there's a Facebook group where people put up tickets for sale, and you see as the event approaches, like all these tickets come up for sale, and sometimes it's for injury, fair enough, but yeah. I start to suspect a lot of the time it's just like they're nervous and they're worried and they're not ready and all that stuff. Yeah. And I think you know, since I heard you talk about this mantra, I think a lot of people could do with telling themselves like it's time to get off the bus, and then just go and do it. And like the experience that you get and the value that you get from just doing one, even if you're not really ready for a HYROX, like it stands you in good stead for the future, you know.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They should do it, and generally it'll come down. They've undertrained, what they're undertrained. They've entered it and then thought, I can't do it. But actually, what they'll get out of it for just trying to push themselves, even though they've undertrained and completing it, will be so much more than going taking the easy option and selling it on Facebook. It's too easy to take the easy option in life. But taking the harder option, be nervous, push yourself, and you know, through the other side of it, you'll get something from it.
Yeah, yeah. Can you tell us about? I've also heard you talk about hard decisions. Is it hard decisions and easy decisions?
Yeah. So yeah, it's a good one. So I just think in our lives, we always have. I think quite often we have two crossroads, don't we? It's generally like two options in our lives when we come to a decision, Greg. So, for example, this week, you know, raining, shit weather, you get up at 6 in the morning to train, you look out the window and you think it's raining. Easy option is stay in bed. Hard option at that time is get up, get out of bed and go running in the rain. But I think the more hard options we make in our lives, the easier our lives become. But then the more easy options we take, the harder our lives become. So, you know, that once you stay in bed, you know, and you don't run, that's an easy option that day. Might feel great to stay in your warm bed. But you do that consistently over time, your health will suffer long term. You'll suffer from it. So you make your life harder by making the easy decision. Our lives become easier when we make difficult decisions. So like if you're at work and you've got to have a difficult conversation with somebody, the easy option is just not say anything, what a lot of people do. But the hard option is to say something, but then you're helping that person and you're helping yourself too. So I think quite often in life, when we're faced with that choice, I can go the easy path. Right now, it feels easiest, but long term, you'll suffer for it. You better go in the harder option right now that may be more difficult short term, but long term, you'll get something out of it. And I think it's a good, simple mindset to try and apply to anything you do that becomes a little bit difficult.
Yeah, love it. You had a very successful long rugby league career. What kept you motivated throughout that? Like, you had early success, what kept driving you year after year after year?
Yeah, so I mean, that's a really good question, because the motivation to be successful, I think, changes throughout your career. The more I think about things, is that when you first come through, you want to make it. That's your motivator, don't you? You want to make it. I'm not from a financially great background, and to make it from having nothing to being a professional sportsman in rugby league, it's not like football, but it gives you a better lifestyle, right? And you want to make it professional, so your driver is to make it, and then you get in the team. Your driver is to fucking stay in the team, right? You want to stay in the team, and then as you get in the team, you made a career out. Your driver then, I think, is to be as good as you can possibly be. And you want to win things, you want to be as good as you can be, and then towards the back end of your career, my driver was just to be consistently excellent. I know what excellent looks like in my job. I know what it looks like, and the challenge is, can I do it? Can I give the team? Can I give my club like 9 out of 10 every week? And I love that kind of challenge of doing it, because you win a trophy, and that the trophy's won and done, and you have to move on to something else, right? But I think certainly back in my career, and that's what I'm motivated by now, is just being excellent, trying to be excellent at whatever I do. And I think if you're motivated by that, you can get out of bed every day, because you can do that every day, right? You can do that every hour, you can do that every minute. Try to be excellent, guys. There's no finishing line with that. So I think, so first of all, when I first started, get in the team, then stay in the team, win trophies, and then it gets down to being as good as you can possibly be for your team and your teammates.
Okay. Was it the same motivation like in periods of adversity, like whatever it might be through your career? Obviously some bad things might happen. Is it the same motivation that helps you get through those moments as well?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. Again, I think, when in all sport, it's not easy, and you have challenging times and challenging moments. I think the key in those times is to be honest with yourself and the group you're with. Don't bullshit anyone about what you're doing or what levels they're at, and then stick together and be optimistic that, if you can control the things you can control, work hard, stay positive what you're doing, you'll come through the other side of it. And also, I think, a big motivator for people is being criticised, isn't it? You see it all the time in sport, where they go, we're not bothered by what they say, but the moment somebody says anything about them, it motivates them to play better. So I think you're better just being open and honest about things. That I think you can be motivated by criticism along the way when times are difficult, and trying to put things right along the way. So you can motivate by want to be great and get out of this difficult situation, but you can motivate by the criticism you receive as well. I think that's turning like a negative into a kind of positive with what you do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Maybe following on from that, like in terms of the criticism and stuff, like you were a captain of England, GB. Is that something that came naturally to you?
Or I don't think it came naturally to me. I think I had those kind of instincts within me, but I think I remember as I broke into the first team, I tried to lead by example and try to play as well as I could. And I think that's important to be a captain. You have to be good at what you're doing. But then I think, people recognise I had ability to say the right thing at the right time, Greg, maybe. And at an early age, I was quite good, I think, at saying the right thing to motivate people to give more than what they thought they could do. So being a bit, maybe it's almost emotional intelligence, isn't it? Being able to pick up what people can do. And then I developed over time. When I first started, I was pretty hot-headed as a leader, and I realised I had to manage that a bit and not be as direct and blunt with people, and be a bit more. Someone told me, I was a bit like the steel fist. I'd put it in a velvet glove at times. So I had to just be a bit less direct to people. So I think I had some leadership capabilities, was in a good environment, showed those, but then I was self-aware enough to understand that I needed to improve in areas of leadership as well. You're never going to get things right all the time in leadership, but you got to work to try be good in those areas.
Did you like in terms of the pressure that
yeah.
as captain and then being like high pressure games, those big games against Australia or whoever it might have been, do you have any thoughts on handling that pressure? How did you go about it in those?
Yeah, I mean, it's a good one again. I mean, it's a good preparation. I think preparation is key to handling pressure. I think you have to prepare well. I think if I think if you go into a big game and you're underprepared, you feel more pressure with it. So the idea for me, as I understood as I get older, was to prepare in the right way. Don't play the game before you need to play it. I made a mistake in 2001 with a big game where I played the game in the training the week before and then was fried in the game. So you've got to build slowly up to it. And with pressure, you just got to focus on what you can control. You spoke about this already. It's just true. Prepare well, focus on what you can control. And just remember, with the games, you're doing something you love doing. The pressure is what you put on yourself to perform. So you just got to remember you love doing it and go out and enjoy it when you do it. Go out and enjoy that pressure.
Yeah. I've been looking a lot into sports psychology lately, and there's talk about like confidence. How can you improve your confidence in sport? And one of them is like, there's no better way than knowing you've done the work. Like you've put the graft in to your HYROX training, for example.
Yeah.
Like that is the best thing you can do to stand on the start line confident.
But
yeah.
You know what it is? That's inconvenient though, because it's not a shortcut. It's inconvenient for most people, right? It's well, how do I get more confidence for a presentation? Well, you have to prepare more. You have to put some hours in and you'll feel more confident. Yeah, but that's going to take a long time. Well, that's the fucking point of it. That's how you get confidence from it. You can't really, there's not a life hack or a shortcut to it. You have to put in that work and it will give you, like you said, you know it when you're on an HYROX starting line, whether you put the work in or not. And that will give you confidence. If you aren't, then you can still do it, but you won't feel as confident.
It reminds me too of an episode I did with Gareth Timmins, like ex-Royal Marine Commando, and he was talking about like we're not like machines, like we have the same fears and emotions, but we go into things because we know we've done the work, we've done the drills like 1,000 times, and we know what to do, and we just like execute, as opposed to it's not like we're not thinking about it or worried about it or anything like that, but we know we've done the work.
That's it. It's a great saying. If you know you've done the work, then generally things go well for you, don't they?
I was doing some research for this, and I looked on YouTube, and you type in Jamie Peacock on YouTube, and you find fights. Was that just because you're an angry northerner? Or was there an element of that? Was that like team spirit, being the captain? Was there an element of that to it?
Yeah, you've got it right there. It's a bit of that. At the time you see me, I was scrap on the pitch. I was always standing up for teammates, and in one of them, the infamous one with Willie Mason in Australia, my view was, as captain of Great Britain, whatever happens on tour, I was going to be the first person in, if there was any friction or any trouble. And I did it the week before, been sin binned, and in that fight, made sure I was the first one in there. So for me, it's a case of standing up for my teammates. I think you have to do that as a captain, and I did that on all the occasions kind of on there. But also, it's interesting you mentioned anger. I was thinking about that because I did the HYROX just recently, and I was thinking, as you do when you drive home and thinking afterwards, thinking about what can I do better from that. And my thing was, one thing I'm pissed off with myself is that I do things better when I'm angry with them. I play better when I'm pissed off, and I play better when I'm angry, and I do stuff like that better when I'm angry. But I went there and thought I'm going to enjoy it. And I realised afterwards that's the wrong thing for me, you know, to do. I need to go there and be pissed off with it. And if I'm be pissed off, I'll do it better because I want to do it better. So it's interesting how you mention anger, and you can use anger in a positive way, I think.
Yeah, it's funny. You won't have heard it yet because it only released today, like when we're recording this. But the episode with Gareth, we talked about exactly the same thing. And you know, when you are digging deep in a race, you can think about like your motivation and your goals and why you want to push it. But like when it's getting really dark, like it's anger and like hate or whatever it is, that can be a real driver at those times. Yeah,
it's huge. Yeah, you know, the deeper, like I said, the deeper and darker you get into it. I remember some of our toughest training drills. You'd be like, that's to the players. I know I'm going to swear about this. These are not fucking beating us. You know, the coaches, no one's fucking beating us here. And you know, I'm getting angry that kind of way. And I think I made that mistake. I made that mistake down at Birmingham doing that. I should have gone down with a bit more of a but I was just trying to take it all in a bit, friend.
Well, we'll be a bit worried next race. There's an angry Jamie Peacock running around the next HYROX.
I'll be taking out on the wall balls or something. Oh, that's sledge, mate. Nobody else.
What separated, like in your career, the successful teams from those that weren't necessarily successful? Like you presumably all had the same goals, had a lot of talent, done a lot of work. What do you think separated you?
Yeah, that's a great question. That is a good question. I reckon, first of all, that ability to work hard consistently all the time and push yourself. And push yourself when it gets difficult and it gets challenging and physical in a game. I think the best players and the best teams can push themselves further and harder than other teams. They'll probably only be the same levels of fitness. You get them on a VO2 max test, they'll be the same levels of fitness, but they're able to dig. They show more grit when times are difficult. And I think they're more consistent with what they're doing. You know, from my experience, what people find difficult and what teams find difficult is to be consistently good. So you'll get a team or a player can give you 8 out of 10, and then it'll give another 8 out of 10, but then it'll drop to 3, 4, and then back up to 8. Whereas good sides can be good consistently, and that sounds, well, that's obvious. But that's the challenge in doing it consistently and consistently being good in your basics and doing your basics really well, doing your fitness really well, pushing hard for each other. To do that every week is mentally tough to do. And I think the best sides are just relentless with that. They can relentlessly deliver and they understand their roles as well. They understand what they're going to do for each other in the pitch, on the pitch as well as off it. And just, I think hard work does underpin a lot of it. Hard work and being able to work hard under pressure as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. So you've discovered HYROX.
Yeah.
How did you enjoy it?
Yeah, it was amazing. Like, you know, first of all, since I've finished playing, I've been enjoying running, been enjoying doing challenges. But I thought, do you know what? I've got to get out of my comfort zone and do something a bit differently. And I'm just doing running events, and then I came across just HYROX. I was just strolling down Instagram, aren't you? Like, wasting time. Like, this looks interesting. This, so got into it, and then I was strolling for a couple of weeks, and I just thought, "Fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to go for this." Like, and it seems I like it because it's really accessible. I think that's the key with the HYROX. It's just accessible. I think some of the like sporting events can be, there's too much technical expertise. You need too much time to learn things. Whereas this, learn how to run, spend time training, and all the other stuff you can pick up within one training session. You can learn how to lunge, burpee, do anything. But then I just love the combination of running and functional exercise, and I thought I'm going to do this. So ended it. Love the training. You know, the training was great, really different, doing that kind of thing, really pushing yourself with it. Really enjoyed it. Give me a really good focus, actually, which I enjoyed as well. I think it worked for me because I was really busy at work, and I thought I need a good focus outside work. And it was good because I thought I like a beer. You know, I drink on a Friday, Saturday, but I thought I'm not going to drink for a couple of months. Do this. That was a challenge, and then finding time to do the training. I like that. I like the discipline of having to do that. And then the event itself was amazing. What a brilliant day! You know, just loud, full of people who are positive, really challenging, really tough as well. And I think the thing is, it's as tough as you want to make it for yourself as an individual, isn't it? It's as tough as you want it to be.
Yeah.
And ultimately, you're only ever competing against yourself in that, aren't you? I think, I know the elites are competing against each other, but for the likes of myself, I'm competing against me. I'm trying to, and I like the fact in it, there's loads of times that you've got those decisions, haven't you? Whether for example, one would be when you're on a sled pull. Do I run to the other side of it, or do I just walk there? That's an easy and tough decision, and there's loads of little ones like that throughout that. But I think it's such an analogy for life, because I reckon someone who's never done it before, if you do the training and do it as well as you can do, then do the event, and just focus on trying to push yourself when you feel tired, then that will help you in life generally. It not only gives you more in terms of like fitness and mentality, but also I think HYROX can give you benefits just in your general day-to-day life, because it's a test of you mentally, it's physically, it's a mental test really, as much as it's a physical test with it. So yeah, it's outstanding. I can see why it's grown so much. I'm gonna be back and do another. A lot of the rugby league lads love it. They're I know a lot of lads who are retired, I think it works for them, because that's our kind of training. We were doing this kind of training like 20 odd years ago, that kind of like do a run, then you'll do something really physical, and then you'll go do something aerobic again, because that is rugby league basically. It's a little bit like rugby league. So yeah, it's brilliant, really well run event as well. We're full of good people, all sorts of shapes and sizes, which is fantastic as well, isn't it? That's the thing about it, is that they're all shapes and sizes kind of doing it. And yeah, and I think anybody could get themselves ready to do that in a period of time. Yeah, so yeah, what an event.
Yeah, brilliant. Where does your mind go during those tough? Like I know we've talked about, like the anger and stuff.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that you think about or use to motivate you?
Yeah, I think a good motivator for me, I didn't use it in HYROX, but it's been like, when I run a marathon first time ever, was, doing it for my dad or doing it for somebody else can really motivate you in the times. But I just think you've got to get a bit angry with yourself at times, and just like, you always got two voices in those situations, haven't you? And you've got one who says quit, and the other voice, you just got to shut the fuck up and go suck to my language and go do it and go run it. And you're not going to win that. And you're not going to win every one of those battles, right? You are going to take a shortcut from time to time, but the more you can take the harder option, the easier that becomes for you. And I think it's just, when it's difficult, just push yourself and just know you're enjoying it. Know you like being in this. I like being in that situation where it's difficult and it's dark and you're getting challenged.
Yeah. You sort of alluded to some of the other stuff that you've been doing, like marathons. Did I see you done 100-miler as well?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, so basically, I'll start with that. I started running, Greg, because I missed the like physical challenge on a weekend of playing that. That's the thing I missed at the start. Pushing yourself, and I think I'll always miss that. And I miss that shared sense of achievement with somebody else, with another group of people. But running kind of took over it. I tried to push myself hard for a run and went, progressed up to running half marathon, then ran my first marathon, did like a double ultra marathon, then a double marathon. Then me and my mate, Simon Dent, I do a lot of running with, we decided to do a double marathon around London to raise money for Greenhouse Sports Project. So did it got around in 21 hours for it. So that was just difficult, mate. It was difficult. Yeah, difficult in a different way to HYROX, because HYROX, your heart rate's mega high, whereas this, just your body's falling to pieces and you're battling sleep deprivation and everything. But it's a good challenge. Do you know when you do? I think when you do something like that, everything in your life feels so much easier for a long time, because you just, if you've got something difficult to do, you're like, I've run 100 miles 3 weeks ago. This is nothing. And I think that's the same for most people for HYROX, though, because I think HYROX is an intense event. And for most people, you're really pushing yourself. And I reckon your life will be easier after that for a while, because you went, well, I push myself when I was doing them wall balls, so I can do this anyway.
Yeah, definitely. Is that, I mean, you're a big guy.
Yeah.
Those 100 milers and marathons and everything really must be like extra difficult as a result, right? Do you have any tips like for other big guys that even just want to take on a HYROX?
Yeah, I just think in HYROX, you just got to understand you are a big guy and you've got to spend time running. You know, what did I weigh in on the day? Just over 100 kilos on the day. So you just got to understand that running's not going to be your forte in it, but that don't mean that you can't. I tried to run as much as possible in my training just because I knew that was going to be challenging with it. And just, you know, you're like, there's some miles bigger guys than me doing it now. Wasn't there? Some big people doing that, isn't there? And they push themselves. So my tip is, just because you're big, don't shy away from the running. You have to do the running in training, get as much of it in as you possibly can with it. You know, I think my training, when I review it now, I needed to have done more like burpee broad jumps. If I was when I review my training, and you know, and then when I go in again, I'm gonna do more of those burpee broad jumps. And you got to know, as a big guy, you're going to suffer on them. Nobody over 100 kilos likes a burpee broad jump.
I don't think anyone likes them, but especially if they're 100 kilos. Yeah. What's the toughest thing that you've done in sport? Does anything spring to mind?
Oh, that is such a good question. I reckon, you know, when you're in the heat of a test match against like the best teams in the world, and it's physical, you've really got to concentrate on what's going on around you. You know, you make a mistake and it's going to end up in a try, but you're under loads of physical duress, and you might have been playing for 50, 55, 60 minutes, say, against Australia, and you know you're in a tight game against them. They're probably the most challenging moments, but ultimately they're the most enjoyable because you're in your element. You've trained for this, and you love doing it. And I miss that a lot. You know, being in a situation where you know you're under fatigue, but every decision you make has a lot of weight around it because you're in a really tight game and you're against really good opposition. So if you're against shit opposition, and you make a mistake, they won't see it. But when you're against really good opposition, you make a mistake under physical duress, then they'll score. And I love that part of it. And they were the challenging moments. Outside that, I think probably, you know, midway through the 100 miler, not midway through it, but there's a couple of points where you're just thinking, this is really, really challenging, this. And we still got like 25 miles to run on this. So, you know, in the middle of the night when you're running through, you know, running around East London in the middle of the night ain't the best place to be, is it? With respect. So that was a challenge too with it. Yeah, I'd say, yeah, they're the two kind of moments. But tell you what, when I was on the wall balls at the end, that was tough. I was proper gassed at the end of that. You don't realise how much they're going to get you at the end, do you?
No. Yeah. We had someone on here, Bobby D, who sort of says he can do 150 unbroken, like when he's fresh, and he you know, came up to that in like done 8, you know.
I was the same. Like I can smash them, and then I was like, done 10. I was like, fucking in pieces here. Get a grip of this.
Yeah, they hit different. What about the best sporting experience? Does anything spring to mind for that?
Yeah, that's a great question again, Greg. I'm enjoying this. You've got some good questions on here. So I think my greatest sporting experience, there's a few in there really, and I think they're all different. But beating Australia in Australia when I was captain in 2006, that was a special moment. You know, that's 17 years ago now. That's the last time Great Britain or England beat Australia, and to be a captain that day was a special moment. To say the background, you know, like 10 years ago, I was trialing to get a contract. 10 years later, I'm captain in my country to beat the best team in the world in their own country. That was really special. And then 2015, when I finished playing, we won the grand final to win the treble right at the end. And, you know, I was right next to my mate, Kevin Sinfield, and we were both retiring, and we won it, and we managed to win the treble with a special group of players. But then also, you know, like kind of running my first marathon, I thought, because I'm a big guy, and it was just, it was when you finish that line, you're pretty emotional when you finish something like that. I think, you know, it really gets you. I bet a lot of people feel like that with HYROX. Complete your first HYROX, should be emotional with it. So that was up there with it for me as well. And then probably the most emotional thing I've ever done with, and this is, so you know, like my mate Kev Sinfield's been doing the runs for Rob Burrow, and you know, So Rob Burrows, so I'll explain the backdrop. Rob Burrows, my ex-teammate, for those who don't know, who got MND. He's 37 years of age. You know, it's a death sentence, and he's seen a massive decline in him, and he's become the public figurehead for MND to try and raise awareness. But my mate Kevin Sinfield has been doing some ridiculous challenges for it. You know, he ran 7 marathons in 7 days, then ran 100 mile. But then he ran 7 ultra marathons in 7 days, and I ran one of the legs with him. On one of the legs, and the thing leading into it, I'd not had enough training. So the furthest I'd run was like 8 mile, and I turned up and I knew I had to run like 33 miles. And I thought, I can't be someone who's dragging energy away from them because this is their 5th day. So anyway, on the day we did it, and we were running into York, and we ran into York. And I don't know if you know York, but York's a pretty magical place as you run in. It's got all these cobbled streets, and it's got the big cathedral, and it was getting dusk. And it was near Christmas, so all like these lights were out. And I kept it together all the way through, Greg. But then the last mile, what had happened through it, my knee would hurt at one point, then my back had hurt, and then my hamstring had hurt, but then it all swapped round so I could manage it. And I kept my spirits up, you know, been trying to push everybody, but the last mile, my fucking everything fell to pieces, and I was in like the worst pain I've been in, but I knew I had to finish it. And more people, we went from having like 2 or 3 people on the rows to there was like 5 or 6 people deep who were pissing it down. They didn't have to be there. By the time we got into the centre of York, there must have been like 2,000 or 3,000 people there. They'd all come out just to see us come across this ultra marathon. Now, those of you know, when you do sport and you get deep in it, you get emotional pretty quickly, don't you? And I burst into tears, me. I just couldn't handle just what I'd done and being part of it, and just everything, all that like outpouring of like love and respect for what Kev had done and for Rob and everything else. It was absolutely overwhelming. I was more overwhelmed than anything I've ever done in my professional sporting career. It was wow. Incredible.
Yeah, wow, amazing. All right, that's amazing. Can you just through your career, presumably you had some injuries at times. How did you? How was your mindset around those injuries, and how do you think about those?
Yeah, so I was pretty lucky. You know, I only had little bits of injuries, and then when I was 33, I got serious injury. I ruptured my ACL and tore my post-lateral corner as well, which, you know, your ACL's 9 months. Put your post-lateral corner into it, it's 11 months out of the game. And I found it challenging, you know, because what I started to do, I trained too hard trying to come back. And what I realised, you know, when you're coming back from a big injury, you've got to stay in like a real sweet zone and stay in that. Whereas I was training above it, like I was used to training really hard, and it wasn't getting me anywhere. And I remember like 6 months into it, I was nearly at the point where I was going to have to retire. But I thought to myself, you know, what am I doing wrong here? And I thought, I'm just training too hard. I need to like just do what I'm told to do for this power. And if you do what you're told to do, you'll come back from it. So I started to do that, and I managed to come back from it. But how I worked it mentally, my mind was each day think about yourself that you're getting better, you know, one step at a time. So if you have an injury, listen to your physio, I think, and just take it a day at a time. Try and improve a little bit each day. And what will also happen when you're injured is your progress is not linear. It's not a straight line. Progress from injury, I think, will go like that, and then you'll go like that, and then and it's more like steps than linear. So just be ready for that when you're coming back from it, and just take each week or each day as it comes up. Think, I'm going to be out for a long time here. Try and chunk it down. It's like when you do an HYROX race, you chunk it, don't you? So you need to chunk any injury down as well.
Yeah. You've obviously been doing a lot, do HYROX, marathons, ultras. Do you think it's important for ex-players, like when they've been at that level in sport, to find something like that to continue to do?
Yeah, I think it's more than important. I think it's essential. I think for me, it's almost like non-negotiable that you have to do that. I think you spend 20 years, you know, in a physical pursuit of you know, trying to be excellent, trying to win things. Your mindset's all linked to it. The worst thing I ever did for 6 weeks after I finished playing, I didn't do anything, and I thought, and after 6 weeks, I thought, what am I doing? I feel fucking terrible here. I like training. So I started training, and then I think giving yourself little goals, you know, to do. It's really good for you mentally, and I just think the community you can get involved with as well are all like-minded people as well. I expect to get involved with like-minded people who are enjoying fitness and the benefits that come with it, Greg, rather than people who want to be negative, drag you down, get you in a pub all the time, those kind of things. I think we are influenced by the people surround ourselves with, aren't we? There's no doubt about that with it. And I just think if you can get yourself doing little competition, but entering competitions, it gives you a goal, and you spend your life as a professional sports person being goal-driven and goal-orientated, and that's taken away from you. So you need to supplement it, and why not with like physical competitions? It's worked for me. It's really been great for me. I don't miss playing, Greg, at all, and I'm really happy in my little life that I've got now, like doing my work, having my fitness goals, and it works for me. I'm quite I'm probably happy now than when I play, because I ain't got that pressure of having to play every week. And that when you're in it, you don't realise how tough that is. And then I was thinking about it the other day. I thought I'm like really happy. I enjoy doing my HYROX and my running and that. And I thought it's because there's not that constant pressure of having to deliver publicly in front of everybody. It's a great life as being professional sport, but it does come with high demand.
Yeah. In your work at the moment, you're doing like motivational speaking, and you've got I saw you had like a keynote talk that looked at the 12 principles that create a winning team and culture. Now the people listening to this aren't necessarily looking to build a winning team, but is there like one or two principles that spring to mind that you think might be of interest to people that are listening to this, and in the HYROX world?
Yeah, of course. So there's like 5 in that are about being the best as an individual. And I think to be your best as an individual, you have to surround yourself with positive influences and be a positive influence to other people. I think that's really important in life. I think we have a choice who we decide that influence you. If you've got negative people in life, cut them out of your life, and surround yourself with the people that you want to be and who push you. And that's really important. Being self-disciplined, I think it's important. We picked that up, haven't we, that in this, that discipline to me means you do something because somebody tells you to do it. Whereas being self-disciplined is far more rewarding. It's about making that easy decision or tough decision. Going the extra miles, important. Going above and beyond what you're asked to do in life, or what you ask of yourself, will always help you. And I think now more than ever, people are satisfied just doing what they're told to do. Whereas if you can go above and beyond and go the extra mile, that will help you. And that's a choice, right? It's not talent, that's a choice. Then my final little 2, we've covered one already, is just believe in yourself. I think that's really important, right? Got to back yourself in your big moments. And then just I talk about like keep improving, but to me that's having a growth mindset. I think we should always be trying to learn from people and learn and experience different things. And I think those kind of 5 things really help you in life. Then my final one would be, I think you've got to celebrate your little successes and wins in life. I think it's too often in our lives we focus on what we're not good at doing, the things that have gone wrong, and that's part of evolution, right? Because 100,000 years ago, Greg, if we saw a saber-toothed tiger, we know don't go back there, that's trouble, right? But we use that now when we have bad decisions or things go wrong, and that's great because we'll focus on improvement, but we never kind of recognize the things we've done well in our lives. So if you're listening, maybe spend time on a Friday, have a thinking about your week, and think about, I did that really well personally, I did that really well professionally, I did that really well with my family, and just be more kind to yourself. And I think they're things we can all do and can help anybody do them.
Yeah, love it. That balance between like growth mindset and then like recognizing what you've done and not trying to constantly just do more is, I think that's an important point that I probably need to take on myself in reality.
Yeah, well, I think you do. Yeah, maybe. I think your website's been amazingly helpful to me during the program. During training, and the podcasts you do, the articles you put on are really well thought through. I've got so much out of it; they've been brilliant. So it's me being a positive influence to you there, Greg.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
If I didn't mean it, I won't say it. So.
So this has been great. I really appreciate it. Do you want to tell people about like the work that you're doing now? I think you've got a 30-day wellbeing program.
I've got a few different things going on. You can just, if you're interested in anything I do, I've got a website, jamiepeacock.co.uk, and there's like wellbeing, leadership talks on there, those kind of things, bit of coaching on there as well. But no, it's just been a pleasure being on it. I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to try, promote HYROX where I can. I will be back and get a couple of these marathons out of the way, and then I'll be back and doing another one. Yeah, and yeah, it's been really nice to be on here.
All right, awesome. Yeah, thank you. Really appreciate it. Good luck for the marathons. Yeah, and hopefully see you at HYROX again soon.
Yeah, you definitely see me at one again soon.
All right, brilliant. Cheers. Take care.